You're now tuned in to one of the livest hip-hop shows, Shanroklive Live. I'm your host, Tone P, coming to you live from Philly as I do every single week, provide you with nothing but the hottest hip-hop and R&B, from the underground's best to the mainstream's finest. We got a hot show for you today, people. We had the opportunity to speak with one of the hottest female artists in the game. She really don't need no introduction. Her body of work speaks for itself. Her penmanship can't be matched. She's one of DC's own, known as the Goddess MC, Sa-Roc. She allowed us to tap into everything she got going on. She blessed us with a dope interview. So we're going to take a quick break, but once we get back, I'm telling you, don't miss out on something great. We got a hot interview with one of DC's own, Sa-Roc, right here on Shanroklive Live. So keep the ears open, keep the minds wide, because you're rocking with the best. We'll be right back.
Dear white people, I am not your Negro. Yeah, black people, y'all just got your hero. All these rap demons, I'm about to depot. Me and Asada, my ATL and alter ego. The Queen of Sheba and Musa Kita, producer heater. Salute your teacher, my newest seed is a future leader. A testament of my evolution to excellence. To be or not to be human, that's what the question is. I'm still the answer regardless. Rappers is moving targets. Acknowledge me as the smartest passenger moving forward. My little sister bars blast like Kalishnikov. Just because heavy bass dance like Barishnikov. The sound pierced like bullets and swords from a nation under attack like bulletin boards, and I'm repping the foundation to the fullest, of course. Today another life was lost and it could have been yours. Whether in Colorado or Collie Park, you but a mile apart from the sharpness of my remarks. The black oligarch making weaponry out of art. My supplier, soul messiah, told me we gotta talk. I walk through the dark. Now do I roll deep or do I hold heat? Now am I laid back or a control freak? Rocking the crown gilded in gold leaf. I'm from a place where the people dream but don't sleep.
You are now tuned in to the classics. This fine art leaders work to the masters. Ain't met a man or woman yet, cause it passes. Cheers to the slaughter era, bow your head and raise your glasses. You are now tuned in to the classics. This fine art leaders work to the masters. Ain't met a man or woman yet, cause it passes. Cheers to the slaughter era, bow your head and raise your glasses. Look, I don't wanna keep this dialogue alive, but they still don't know I'm out for blood, I'm not surprised. I keep my fangs well hidden behind a model smiles. And this tyrannical grammar stay italicized by design. I'm emphatically beast over every domain. I surveilly pray in states of paralysis with my rabbit eyes. And me and thought together, portrait of your worst fears. The darkness come to light when two leviathans is fraternizing. My stock splinted from God's innards to moral sentences, till every mob within yards beyond penitence. Squad minute from Nina's demeanor and Lauren lyrics. We both guard dinner tables and squat like Salon's titular album, homie. I'm scripture embodied, holy 16, so the fiend to redeem a picture of pious quoting my verses like I'm second coming, that's just one way that I've been heard described. I'm old bottler, Corso Tupac, and the causes all eyes on me when I occupy space immersed in white. Cause I'm lit like a 7-day, my third eyelid stay wide open like it's broken, it's unsettling. It's a high risk going up against my pedigree. It's black thoughts and rock the ibis in his pedaway. You are now tuned in to the classics. This fine art leaders work to the masters. Ain't met a man or woman yet, cause it passes. Cheers to the slaughter era, bow your head and raise your glasses. You are now tuned in to the classics. This fine art leaders work to the masters. Ain't met a man or woman yet, cause it passes. Cheers to the slaughter era, bow your head and raise your glasses. The atom split a dogmatic, enigmatic figure. Dwell in shadow, then emerge when my genetics triggered. The sleeping giant, the ether supplier, keep them wired. So when every verse hit this circuit, you make repeat required.
We fired a live round out of the cartridge. The foul words written on parchment. High and exalted, police and fire department. Main culprit, a glimmer in the eye of the target. The mind of a marksman.
The word source was preferred source of that black magic. The same orifice that famed voiceless and spat acid. The dream eater, the green reaper, 16 killer. The sonic boom with an MC and Elohim
The
meter.
cipher, the grim reaper, the gatekeeper, the late creeper, the street sweeper, that think deeper, the complete speaker, the Svengali. Went from reefer in the alley to freaking with a Somali on the beaches of Malawi. Now we the luminary, the heavy pituitary. Knew it very early on. I be the legendary, hot as the side of my vocabulary, contemporary. Personally autographing every obituary for y'all.
Renaissance. Dropped from out the clouds, had to change form. Flooded the plains, had them praying for my brainstorms. I'm a master, peace from divine. A worker, I got a bit of mob trying to frame John. I'm heir to whenever a conflict, with a postcodes drawn to the pros and the cons split. Professionals, been Robin Hoods with a conflict. Gave to the poor and the black, the stigmata of convict. See the cross we bear is too familiar. Embedded in the home of the brave, the darkest of interiors. So street scholars and soldiers defect, cause they post-traumatic stress on the American experience. Go all in, I'm finna go all in. Merc every line came before this delivery, make orphans. See my heart bleed from the hardship of my origins. My great-grand soul for a band at Southern auctions. It's a razor edge of my cadence that's shredded through these paper trails. Only alphabet boys I trust is in a Y and L. Only alchemy justify the nuggets I expel. In the city idol trying to be the next idol Wales rock.
I don't know what you might have heard, but we ain't going nowhere but up. Got a whole squad dressed in all black, got the streets on notice. What up? They want us in the same place, ain't nobody ever gonna really change nothing but us. Hello, this is revolution, get on up.
Born queen with a street type of etiquette. That's why I rule over every subject and predicate. Scrawl these Syrian indictments on every edifice. And balls on my holy cabal. The only evidence left. Excuse the venom in my rap tone. Cause more often than sweet, life served vinegar in black homes. More specifically with fire lit them crack stones. War on drugs turn a fiend a fella in the snap gone. Inspired I am my diatribe. Cause polished lies try and tell us that Shabazz is the diatribe. So I'ma turn this pen and tab into a tabernacle. So them jeans can't distinguish God from me, I and I. Spit the 12 jewels to free 'em from the 13th. This a clear view like baby seeing from the first blink. They can buy the spirit from my nation, cut the purse strings. Gene Pool established ancestors was the first link. Guarantee we finna recoup. Starting recover, got name gold on the molars of every tooth. We buying back the blocks like Wall Street pursuit. We failed couple of times, the rise absolute trust.
I don't know what you might have heard, but we ain't going nowhere but up. Got a whole squad dressed in all black, got the streets on notice. What up? They want us in the same place, ain't nobody ever gonna really change nothing but us. Hello, this is revolution, get on up. I don't know what you might have heard, but we ain't going nowhere but up. Got a whole squad dressed in all black, got the streets on notice. What up? They want us in the same place, ain't nobody ever gonna really change nothing but us. Hello, this is revolution, get on up.
You're probably one of the hottest artists I've ever heard in my life. I've been on earth for 34 years, and you know, it's only a handful of people that, you know, that actually made me feel chills when I heard their lyrics, and you are definitely one of those people.
Wow, thank you. That feels so good to hear, because I definitely have artists, you know, myself, that I feel that way about, so it's an honor to be able to share music that resonates with folks, so thank you.
No, absolutely, and the thing is, when you hear your music, it feels like it comes so naturally, and it as if it's something that doesn't take a lot of effort. Not saying that the lyrics you don't put a lot of effort into it, but it's just that natural. Like you have that skillful ability to where it don't take much for you to put together the lines the way you do and have them merge together. Do you hear that a lot from your fans?
I'm not sure. But I mean, I've had people just, you know, comment on just the music in general, you know, and appreciating it. But that, you know, that means a lot, because, you know, for many years when I started, I didn't feel like it was effortless. I felt that I wasn't necessarily a creative person. And because, you know, my career path was in the world of science and, you know, academia and all of that. So it's just funny how, like, your path can kind of transition into something that you had no idea that it would. You know, things just happen organically sometimes, and sometimes we don't plan. So that's good to hear that, you know, it's something that I kind of latched on to very naturally. So thank you. I'm glad it comes off like that.
No problem, no problem. Now you said the first career that you had was in academics. How did you make that transition? How did that come about?
Well, I ended up just feeling unsatisfied with, just life and how it was progressing. I don't think there was one like definitive moment or thing that I was like, okay, I need to switch gears. At the time, I wanted to move. I wasn't happy with where I was. I wasn't happy with, how, like, I was doing well in school and everything, but I just knew that this wasn't it. So I ended up moving from Washington to Atlanta. And then I ended up meeting my current producer, Soul Messiah, and he was working with several artists at the time, but this one particular artist, this group he was working with, I love their music, and I was constantly listening to their music and listening to his. He would put out these mix CDs with his beats on them, and I would just like listen and obsess over his beats and stuff like that. And I was a writer, so I would write like poetry and stuff like that. So I would like write stuff to his music, and one day we were in the studio and I ended up wanting to record something that I've written, and I recorded it, and he was like, hold up, wait a minute, because he had worked with women MCs in the past, so he was like, you have potential, let's see more of that. And it just so happens we decided to record more of that, and it ended up turning into my first EP. And we just kept going.
Wow. And it's crazy because you have a lot of people who share the same type of story. They felt unfulfilled within the career that they were in, moved towards something that actually held their heart. They followed their passion. Money's not everything. We all want to make the millions or however much we want to make, but when we latch on to something that we're absolutely passionate about, that's all we focus on. That's the most important thing. That's the satisfying feeling. And I'm glad you made that transition, because you don't understand. You just don't understand what your music do to the people that listen to it. I mean, you are I don't understand. I can't even understand, when you said that you didn't see yourself as a creator, because when I hear your music, I hear nothing but creativity all within it, especially the song that you have, First Mother.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's one of those things where, I don't know if you've ever heard of like the imposter syndrome. I feel like I suffered from that when I first started, because even though I dabbled with the creative arts when I was younger, before I started rhyming, it wasn't like one of those things that I always knew. And I always heard of people who were MCs and stuff who were like, yo, I was 7 years old when I started rhyming. And I don't know if you ever saw this stuff. There's like this little cartoon like interview with I think Jizza, and then he was talking about how like him and somebody else from Wu-Tang, I can't remember, used to like be 8 or 9 years old, like sneaking out the house to go to like hip hop parties and stuff like that, like back in the day. And I was like, that wasn't me. So I always felt like you had to have like this early understanding and awareness of your calling, and so so for, like I said, for a few years when I first started, I felt like I was so far behind like everybody who was in the independent music community at the time, who was making music that I was now in circles with and performing with and stuff like that. And even though I acknowledged that I love to write, I was a good writer, doing it in a creative way was new to me. Doing it as an MC was new to me. So it was just learning to accept that I fit in this world, and learning to accept that, I'm good at this. And I eventually did, of course. I mean, I'm 13 years in at this point, so it would be odd if I hadn't. But it's just one of those things where some things just kind of drag you kicking and screaming at first until you become settled into it naturally. So like the first few years, I was like, I am performing on stage, like that's so not me. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this? What have I got myself into? But it became so healing for me, and it became so liberating for me. And then just seeing how not only I responded to the writing and responded to like seeing my growth and seeing my emerging confidence, but also seeing how other people responded to it was like, okay, yeah, like I may not have seen it before, but I realized that this is my path, this is my calling, and it takes that sometimes for you to become aware of that.
Absolutely, and I must say, 13 years in, you would have thought that you would have been at 9, 7, 6-year-old child, starting that early on, and when I listen to your music, it's as if you represent the voiceless, those who might not have that long of a reach as a person like you. It seems like you're speaking for those people. You're representing that group of people every time I hear your lyrics, and that really means something to me, because especially the song you have with Styles P, Rockwell America. That means a lot to me, because I come from that type of environment. So hearing you speak about those things, it makes me close my eyes and think back of all the things that I've had to see or endure. And I'm glad somebody's actually speaking out against those things versus trying to promote them as if there's something great about it.
Right. And I think that's one of the reasons that motivated me to talk about it. One, because I didn't see my story represented. I didn't see it represented in the way that I experienced it. In that I was at the bottom of the food chain in terms of, we hear a lot about like, these, the people who slanging, weight or whatever, like they glamorize that, and they run the neighborhood, they run the hood or whatever. For me, like I was negatively affected by that. I was a part of the fallout of that, as many of us were. When I talk about neighborhoods that have been devastated by crack era or violence and police terrorism and things like that, I am trying to air out part of a story that has been covered up for so long, part of a community that has been isolated and primarily erased from the conversation when it comes to the effects that Black people have experienced in this country, post these major epochs in history where we talk about the slave trade, we talk about the Jim Crow era, and then everything after that is supposed to be all good. But like, what about the people who were left, to experience redlining? What about the people who were left to experience, all of these other things that, don't get the publicity within music, within, any other entertainment genres, within the educational system, So for me, it was absolutely necessary for me to heal from some of the traumas that I experienced growing up in these neighborhoods, and to write about it, and also to speak for the Aishas and the Stonewalls and the people who I even reference in my music that had never gotten a voice. So sorry if that was long-winded.
No, that's perfect. And I appreciate your response to it, because it means a lot. And now I do have to say though, but nobody should get it twisted. Your bars are definitely on point, and you will definitely lyrically destroy anybody, in my opinion, that steps up to the plate. And I hear that. I hear that all throughout your music, and your project that you put together. Oh my God, The Sharecropper's Daughter, that classic, 5 mics, whatever is the highest platform the highest award you could receive for putting together a project, you definitely received it. There's not one track on that project that you should skip. Everything is impactful. I mean everything. Especially, I love the song you have with Lettucey. Everything is on point.
Thank you.
It's hard to honestly, it's hard to even imagine somebody coming up with the coming up with the things that you come up with, how you put the words together, like these colorful lines. I was telling somebody today that that I had the interview with you, and they wanted me to explain, like what does it mean, like, because you're talking to us about the music, like explain, and I was like, it's unable to be explained. You got to listen to it. If I'm talking to you about it and you haven't experienced it, it's more so like me trying to explain the color yellow to a blind man. You're not going to understand. You got to feel it. You have to feel it, and that's how I feel about your music.
Thank you. Yes, it's definitely working with Soul Messiah and creating that album was definitely full of feeling and full of emotion. It was an energy. So it's beyond just the words. I agree with you, like having someone sit with, the lyrics, but also the emotions and what the sonics evoke, like, because all that stuff was carefully crafted to kind of make the listener feel what I was feeling, to try to put them in the place that I was when, these things were happening, and trying to really make it really experiential for the listener. But yeah, I mean, as far as writing, it's funny that, we're based in Philly, or in Philly right now. I have a lot of people whose pen game is just incredible that, I look up to, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention Black Thought,
he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's crazy. He absolutely inspires me to keep elevating the pen, and, especially now, like, sometimes the thing is to simplify everything, and there's a time and a place for that, but I love being able to build upon words in ways that gives them more texture, and then like makes you have to really screw up your face to be like, oh, he said that, she said that, like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying? Yep. So like it's definitely a fine art to me, and I think hip hop as a culture deserves to be elevated in that way, in the same way that classical music, in the same way that fine art and these so-called masters of these other genres that are really centered in kind of European culture. It's essential for me to be one of the people that elevates hip-hop to that same level of fine art and respect, because that is so deserving of, that so many who have gone before and people who continue to do are working to kind of cement it within not just American culture, but global culture as it's influenced the entire world. So that's important to me.
No, absolutely. And I'm definitely glad that you brought up hip hop as fine art and how it shapes our culture, because this is a male dominated industry, and they control a lot of the images that are put out there, especially when it comes to women. And I have great respect, and I'm thankful that you represent yourself in a classy, powerful way. I have two daughters, and they're 11 and 7, and they listen to music all the time, and it's hard to find music that I feel comfortable with them listening to because of the type of image that it puts out. So I'm very appreciative of the way that you not only carry yourself, but the words that you put out there for them to listen to. So that means a lot also.
No, thank you. That's an honor. I always love seeing the young girls. Like, I've had the pleasure of doing shows where it was all ages, and I see these little young women just sitting in front of the stage, and they're just looking like they're studying everything that we do. I remember going on tour with Rhapsody, and the same with her. Like, a lot of young women just love her, and they'll be at the front of the stage, and she'll be like, oh, look, I can't say that, let me, she'll be rhyming, she'll be like, let me clean it up. And it's funny because I do the same thing, because you see them, they're watching and they're learning, and a lot of times they model themselves after what you represent, how you carry yourself, what you say, how you say it. And it's important for us, even as we are free to create art, to understand that there's a younger generation who is patterning themselves after us and being responsible with the way that we use words. So, yeah, it's a honorable charge to carry.
No, absolutely. Now you coming to Philly tonight. You're gonna bless us at the winery.
Huh?
You're gonna bless us at the winery, the venue where you'll be performing. And I can't wait. How does it feel? I know there are now that things have opened back up. A lot of artists are now hitting the road, doing a lot of shows. How does it feel to be back on tour and moving around and doing a lot of shows?
It feels good because I never really got to properly tour with the album when it came out, so it felt odd. Like, it felt like I dropped this project and didn't get to really share it in the way that I wanted to, like, just with the physicality of performing. And like, that's one of my favorite things to do. It's funny, I told you earlier how I was like not wanting to be in the public eye and performing and stuff, but I love it now. And so I'm glad that now I'm finally able to connect with people in that way, because it's an energy exchange for sure. And I'm excited about this show at the City Winery because my sis Shay Noor is going to be the special guest opener, and she's fire as well. And out of Buffalo, I love to see like how she is telling her story through rhyme, and she got a whole team supporting her or whatever. And it's dope that we're able to do this because I've been following her for a while. So the energy is going to be crazy dope. Again, Soul Messiah is with me. He's going to be there DJing, and so it's going to be an incredible show. And I love Philly. I don't ever get to spend enough time here, but I love the city.
Oh, that's
so many
love.
creative
That's
people
love.
have come out of here.
That's perfect. I love to hear that. And Shay Noor, she's definitely one of my favorite artists. I follow her a lot. I was hoping she was at I went to the Benny the Butcher show this past Sunday, and I was hoping she came out. 38 Spec came out, so I was hoping he brought her out also. So, but he didn't. So I was kind of disappointed in that one. But I'm hopefully I could get down there to see her today. I know a group of us from the station. We plan to go down and buy our tickets so we could sit in the crowd and just enjoy the experience.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's gonna be real dope. And I'm super excited. I'm in my bag, as they say, and trying to perform it or whatever. So I'm like, when I'm amped, I go crazy. I be snapping. So I snap anyway. But like, I always tell people, don't get it twisted. I am very, very intentional about my lyrics and what I say, and being socially conscious and all that stuff. But I'm also a barbarian, so there's gonna be a sampling of everything. So if y'all want a good hip hop show, come through.
And it's funny because every show that I go to, everybody that come to Philly, and I've been to a lot of shows outside of Philly, but whenever I go to a show in my city in Philly, everybody who come here always say, Philly about spitters. Philly's the city of spitters. So they always gotta throw some stuff out there a cappella to drop some lyrics so the crowd can know I'm with it. Whatever you got, I'm with it. I'm here. So I appreciate. We always appreciate that from every artist that come through. I don't see people do it in other cities, but whenever they come to Philly, I always get that.
Yeah, because Philly is like known for that. They're known for the spitters, so they gotta you gonna hear these bars. So yeah, I love that, the showcasing of that. I actually just went to see Conway in Atlanta.
Okay.
And it was funny because it was a whole bunch of opening acts. Anyway, but it was a whole bunch of opening acts, and every single act did that.
Yeah.
They dropped an 8-bar or whatever, because they knew who they was in the company of. You know what I'm saying? When you're with someone who is a real spitter, you gotta show and prove. I am worthy of being on this stage. I can handle my bars. So it was funny. Everybody was like, "Oh, okay, this is the trend. Everybody's doing this."
And it's funny, 'cause when he came to Philly, I also was at that show, and God knows it was a lot of opening acts, like you said. Had to be about 15. It was like he just brought the whole block out. Like, look, everybody coming with me.
Yeah, that was so funny. That was funny, but it was worth the wait because he gave a crazy show. JID popped up, 2 Chainz popped up, but like Love the Genius was there, and I was really excited to see her because she's real nice. Yeah, so it was really dope. But every time I see them perform, like I first saw Griselda perform at the show we did together in Cali. It's called Thought Fest, and
it's called
I heard of Thought Fest, the Happiness of Pursuit Festival. Okay. Yeah, and I had heard of them. Like I heard some songs or whatever. But when they got on stage and they performed, I was like, "Yo, this is hip hop. Like this is real hip hop." Reminded me of some like when I would see like when I was blessed to see Wu-Tang perform together. Like this is, they're all supporting each other. Energy was up, not rapping over tracks.
Right. That's
like,
the most important thing. That's the most important thing. Don't rap over your track.
Yeah, like what are you doing? What are you doing?
I can accept, if you throw an ad-lib here and there, you got the little punch-ins, but don't rap over the entire track. I hate that.
It's so bad now. Like they just stop rapping and let the crowd just rap it for them. Yep. And I just, it's frustrating. It's frustrating, but it's a lot of us out here that's still doing the real, holding it down like it needs to be held down. So.
No, absolutely. And we appreciate
y'all come through tonight, y'all see.
And we appreciate that because I gotta tell you, just to give my little story, what really pushed me to that limit. Now, I've always been a fan, of music. I've always been a fan, but I had the opportunity to see The Roots and Public Enemy at the same venue, and I mean,
oh wow,
that right there when. The Roots always were my favorite. I love Black Thought. I used to try to recite his lyrics in the classroom and say I wrote them. You know what I'm saying? So I've always appreciated Black Thought's pen. The intelligence that I love an artist that shows their intelligence with their lyrics that gives us a form of history when they're putting together their music. And I put you in that same category because you paint this picture of the neighborhoods that we come from, the ghetto that we come from, the hood that we come from, as a work of art. You show the good, you show the bad, but you paint it with this beautiful stroke, and I love that. And it makes me proud to be a part of the neighborhood where I'm from, even though it's chaotic, but I love being from North Philadelphia because of how it's represented through the lyrics of somebody like Black Thought, somebody like you, somebody like Talib Kweli and all those guys, and even Griselda. I love the way you guys creatively put it together, and I love being able to say I'm from that type of neighborhood. Look at what they're saying. Look at how they're saying it. Look at the picture that they're painting, and it's not all bad. It's beautiful. We're all products of this environment. But I'm definitely jumping left with it. But they both watching The Roots, I was already blown away. But then to watch Chuck D get up there and do his thing, oh man, I knew I wanted to be a part of this. In some way, shape, form, or fashion, I had to be a part of it.
Yeah, I haven't been able to see. What actually did I see? Yeah, actually, I did see them. I did see Public Enemy, but I got there late. It was in a part of Brooklyn. I can't remember the name of it, but they were giving these free shows in one summer when I was in Brooklyn, and a couple years ago. And Public Enemy was one of them, and that was where I realized that Flavor Flav was like a crazy instrumentalist. He got on the drum kit and was like playing the drums, and I was like, wait, what, where did I miss? And they were like, oh yeah, you don't know, he's like a musical virtuoso, he could play like all these different instruments and stuff. And but yeah, that was an incredible experience. I almost forgot because I had come late to the show, but to experience both of them together, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was wild. But You know I held you for a long period of time, but I got one more question for you. One more question, and this is very important. You know, we definitely hold this question, you know, at the top of the food chain, you know, as far as the answer that people give on the Shanrock Live show. We need your top 5 hip hop artists of all time, and the reason why you order them the way you do.
You know, this is my most I don't know, this question, because like things like just shift and change, but Black Thought for sure. This is not in any particular order.
Oh, that's the biggest. That is the biggest.
I cannot order them. All right. We will let it go. I cannot order them. We'll let it go. All right. I'm gonna be anti-traditionalist. So Black Thought. KRS-One. Andre 3000. I would say Pharaoh Munch.
Ooh.
And Lauren.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah. So I don't know if I needed to like explain why, but I feel like it doesn't really need to be explained.
No, they actually explain themselves. You know, a lot of times when we ask people to explain, when we get a lot of younger artists and they'll throw around some of the guys that are out now. What the heck? Why did you pick that person? Like, come on, like, what are you doing? And then I have to get them to explain and go through the whole process of breaking it down. But Pharaoh Monch, I believe he's probably one of the most underrated MCs that have blessed the mic for us. You know, you don't hear his name floating around a lot, you know, as much as it should.
As much as it should, because that man is bananas. I mean, you just go through his catalog, his diversity. Like, he'll do the sing song thing. He is just incredible. He's just incredible and just a creative genius, in my opinion. But yeah, so that's it. But that's the thing. The reason why I don't like that question is because, like, depending on how I'm feeling, like, there are so many people sometimes that can, you know, that I feel like to have a definitive 5 when there are a lot of people who I feel like could be a part of that conversation, it's just challenging to me. So
yeah, it is a difficult question to ask with an answer to answer. But hey, I definitely appreciate you giving us this opportunity. You will be at the City Winery tonight, tearing it down. The doors open up at 6. The show starts at 8. I know it's going to be something crazy. We appreciate you, and you know we can't wait to see you come perform.
Yes. Peace and love, y'all. It's Sa-Roc, and I stay rocking with Shanrock Live every time I hit Philly.
This a budget of America that Norman couldn't master. But crack rock well suited for the capture. Whole hood hostage sit up right in the glass. But because the prison's black, it would label a disaster. Too hard not to internalize. So I keep burning in this personal hell till the inferno dies. Government feeding us bullshit instead of truth, giving birth to a dishonest we call it fertilized. We had a house kept getting robbed. Remember the night daddy brought the pistol out there and the men involved. And 5-0 came to graces with their presence 2 hours after mom used to send the call. And who was I? Youngest sider from the Zulu tribe, trying to breed love from hate like the blue inside. Too many friends long lost to this useless cycle. I guess that's the revolutionary suicide. Fury saved me, Paul had to hear me made. Proud of humble beginners, but hungry for domination. I'm an abomination, the ex they can't solve. Smoking revolver, ghost of a mama, rolling through up a marble. And all of us are struggling to get by. And the perfection is eternal, time to give us was to live by. But all we wanna do was get high. Kept the one hitter up that indica, hitting up my mid-thigh. Border with the guys up to 120. Hit the rosters up with the change from my lunch money. Cop a final call from the NOI, trying to figure out how to stay up when the missus seem to love our company. But we made it through the hurricane. That's why I'm quick to speak the truth, but I'm careful not to hurry fame. Cause even though I came a long way, I owe less to the struggles where I am than to the tragedy from where I came.
Sa-Roc, Soul Messiah, SV the Ghost.
I am Malcolm and Mandela in the concrete jungle with knowledge of sand dwellers. Shout to the sisters, smoking while I listen to the ancestors whisper. Fight for your freedom and your rights cause you need them. And it's the tech age so your life gets deleted if you're safe and complete. If you ain't complete, you ain't elite. If your little brother's hungry to tell me how could you eat? It's one for all for one. Brand Nubians, light up a doobie, give me your gun. I've been watching the news, I've been feeling the blues. You could get killed by the boys wearing the blue. And I don't mean the Crips. Talk about the cops on the strip. See the option, options to dip. It shouldn't have to be like that. Hard to survive, third eye, can't see like that. Ghost to my black bro and black sis. Keep your black thought and black fist. Yeah, I'm always on some black shit. Probably got me on they blacklists. I'm willing to die for these black kids. Are you willing to die for these black kids? We gotta survive for these black kids. We